can start rolling cash.
Okay, so somebody texted us, me and Casey, and they were like, my sisters, please help me. It was a husband.
Oh, yeah.
And we love and adore. And he was like, help me. I want to get this for my wife. Okay. And so it's like these fresh shoes that I even have, like, I had them pinned in my Pinterest.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And so Casey's like, it's these. And I'm like, yes, it's these. And he goes, but they're actually like a little bit different. So I went on my deep dive. Okay.
Yes.
I like started like searching and looking, and I found it.
Okay.
And they're these shoes from Russia. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
And so I was like, I found it, but they're local to Russia.
Okay.
And he goes, do you guys know anybody who speaks Russian?
No way, the husband? That's
in a group text. And mind you, I know somebody. I was like, Dennis Kashoy.
Oh, yes.
But
He does.
as I'm texting that, Casey beats me. And her text goes, yeah, I know a guy. His name is Chat. Chat GPT.
The chat will translate it, you know.
No way.
You were one of the first people that I knew to use chat. Remember we were in
a meeting.
We were in our
And Casey's like, this is what Chat GPT says.
You were
but
whipping out
literally, she was like,
ChatGPT.
I know a man. His name is Chat.
Man.
Chat.
That's so
It was
funny.
everything
never
to me.
knew.
It was
love
so
that.
funny.
And not
It
good
was-
stop being funny.
I
It
know.
was so funny. People don't know that Casey's
No,
so
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
But
She's
she really
funny.
is.
Good job. I love it. I love it.
She got onto me. She
Yeah,
was
I
like,
was like,
Casey!
Casey, this is crazy.
You're like, I know a guy.
This
I would've
guy is
thought of
like,
Dennis,
I want to
though.
like, down on my wife. And she's like,
Yes.
oh, dope. Not dope.
Did he get
wow,
it?
words are hard.
Yeah,
Did he
don't
get
on
it?
his life.
I don't know.
Okay.
But we were giving him translations for his messages on Instagram. And
That
so
is
we'll
so
see.
funny to
Okay,
talk
see,
to the
that's
vendor.
funny.
He had to talk to the vendor. But we love a husband who's trying to get a
We
gift for his
love a
wife.
husband.
Yeah.
And we love when they get help.
For
We love
gifts.
when they get help
Yeah.
from other girls that know you well.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus when they try to do it by themselves.
Exactly.
Tough.
Or they just forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That
true.
is hilarious. Okay, I will say Marcus is
I'm getting
so
the giggles.
good at gifts.
Yes, he is good at gifts.
He's good.
but he also takes notes. Like he
Well, I was
takes
gonna say
notes.
he saves links.
Yes.
So I'll just randomly be scrolling and be like, "Oh, this is so nice," and he's like,
Well, do you have a locker?
"No,
I
it's
feel
a
like
locker."
I feel like I'm turning all my. I got you.
Yeah,
onto
you
locker.
got me on
I'm
a
turning all
locker.
my friends
Oh,
onto
yes,
locker.
yes. You
It's
got
an
me onto
app,
it.
and it basically it's kind of like Pinterest where.
Yes.
It's like an app that your phone syncs up with. So like anytime I'm shopping, if I'm like on Revolve and I find a pair of shoes that I really want, you click the share button and then like your locker app pops up and you can like save it exactly to a category on your locker. So Jansen has my locker and I have one called like Live Christmas, Holland Christmas. And that's, he has the exact link. You can put like a note so you like know what size it is.
What a gift.
It's amazing, I will say. It sets the husbands up well.
Also, I want to speak to anybody who would want to sponsor this podcast because that was a great ad.
That was
So
a
like
great
this
ad.
is
Locker.
the girls podcast is not brought to you by Locker, but it could have been.
Yes,
It could have been.
True.
We know her.
Because
I
we
know
know a lot
someone
of
knows
great
her.
products.
Yeah,
Friendship
there's a
by
link.
association.
Yes.
So
That's the
many
whole
people
thing.
using Locker.
And
Shout
we
out
can
to
see
Anna
each other's
Cantor. She
locker.
got me on
Exactly. Yeah.
You can see each other's locker.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
you
nice.
follow each
Yeah,
other.
yeah. I guess if Marcus wants something, you save it too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the key. We share.
Yeah, we do.
We
We
do.
share.
We do.
And we need to set up the men in our lives to win.
That,
Yes.
Yeah.
No guessing.
No.
Just this is how you win.
No.
For
Just
sure.
look at my locker.
Yeah. Look at my
I know.
locker.
It does set them up to win. Although sometimes they still go rogue.
That's true.
Because they love
That's
to
true.
surprise and to
No.
thrill.
Yes. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do
yeah.
this thing, which is so sweet. We do birthday month.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But Earl's so funny. I love him. He's so generous. He's so kind.
Yeah, yeah.
But he counts birthday month as like he's like, I got you a gift every day of the month.
Okay.
But it's like, so say there's like, I don't know, 30 days in a month.
Yeah.
You know, each month is different. But so he'll get me like 3 gifts for 1 week and he'll say, open these up anytime you want for the week. But it'll be but most of the things, sorry, Earl, are things that like I don't want.
Oh,
That's
no.
so bad. But he's so excited about them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like so excited, which is
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
So I want to honor his excitement. But
Yeah.
Locker will.
Yes.
Set 'em
It'll
up.
help
It'll
with
set 'em
that.
It will help.
That happened
Yeah.
with my birthday this year. Is I got a Lola blanket, which is like so soft. Shout out Lola blanket.
Lives in her sponsor era.
But that wasn't on my birthday.
What's a
Locker.
Lola blanket?
Yeah.
It's like one of those really soft, furry blankets.
Little-
It like
Yes.
kind of went viral, and it's like
Yes.
having a bit of a
Oh,
moment. I
cute.
think they're overpriced, and I think there's microplastics in them. So actually, not sponsored by Lola.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
no
But,
microplastics.
But it's a
microplastics.
really soft blanket.
Yes.
But that was my birthday gift.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yes,
Shout out
yes.
Jansen, because I
Yes.
didn't
Shout out
know what I
Jan
wanted,
Jan.
because I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you return it though?
No, I kept it.
You did.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, I'm
I was
gonna
gonna say you
blanket.
could have told him about the microplastics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found out
So-
later.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
But all that to say, they go rogue because
They
he's
do.
like, oh, she loves being cozy. She's such a
Yeah.
homebody.
Yes,
But I was like,
yes.
oh, no.
No.
No,
No.
thank you.
No.
Not like that.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So,
Anyways.
hi everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Girls Podcast. I am joined with 3 of my very dearest friends and also bosses here on staff at Shoreline City. And I just want you to, some of you already know these girls, but then those of you who don't go to Shoreline City, I want you to meet Crystal, Olivia, and Casey. They're
I wanna
beautiful
clap.
inside and out and brilliant and just like some ride or dies in my life. And today we're going to just like talk about a topic. We already started talking
So
and
excited.
we just decided to let the camera be a fly on the wall of our random. We just talk about everything.
Yeah.
We talk about Jesus. We talk about how to grow in our walk with God.
Yeah.
We also share links with each other, which is
Yeah.
a major key.
Yep.
Yes.
We don't gatekeep around here.
No.
And we also talk about ways for those of you who are married to set up your man to win.
Yes.
And
Locker.
Olivia said, tell him, get a locker.
Get a
Follow
locker.
your locker.
Follow
Your locker. Or get in a text with a couple girls that are
Yep.
close
Yes.
to your wife
Yes.
or girlfriend or fiance or significant other.
Yeah.
And we're trying to take out the guessing work for
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
episode.
Right.
We
No
want to make it
rogueness.
easy for
Yeah.
you where you just like win because guys love to win anyway.
They
Yes.
do. They do.
So that is why we're here.
Yeah.
But also, we're here to talk about a topic I feel like you don't hear it like discussed that often.
No.
Which is like competition.
Yeah.
Like competition and comparison with girls.
Yeah.
And welcome to our new set, by the way.
So
Yes.
excited.
So
Isn't
pretty.
she lovely?
It's so
Isn't
beautiful.
So good.
she lovely?
I wanna live here.
So cozy and
Is
wonderful.
it? Oh, we were ready to keep it on.
She's
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, take us to the chorus. Is it more than 1 minute old?
And it's
that
Stevie
creepy?
Wonder from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Is that creepy?
What?
Is he like less than 1 minute old? Is it about his daughter?
I think so. Oh, was that the song where
I was like,
kinda
what are you
think
even
it is-
asking?
No, because
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
a song.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know this because Nana, my mother-in-law,
Turns out it means
loves.
something else.
She loves Stevie Wonder though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she plays Stevie Wonder in our home, and because she lives with us, and
Shout out
it's a
Nana.
sitcom.
No, it really is.
It
She
is
does
the same
Nana.
role. But she has a
Love that.
stocking. She has matching pajamas. She's part of the bunch.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a baby sound on the sound, and it's like
Really?
a baby
Oh.
crying. So I do think that was the origin of the song.
We just
I
started
think.
singing the lyrics, and then I was like, wait,
Interesting.
I think he says less than 1 minute old.
Yeah.
Is she? Is it
No,
a baby?
Interesting.
Cash Taylor, you'll have to
Yeah,
like
somebody
look
has
it
to
up
look
for
up the
us.
lyrics.
Yeah, what is
But
that?
Stevie Wonder, for those of you who don't know, he's an American musician from a long time ago.
Mhm.
I saw him in an airport.
No way.
Uh-huh.
He didn't
He's
see
blind,
you though.
right?
But
He didn't notice.
I was like,
He's that I should have said that, but I
yes,
couldn't resist.
No, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
he's blind.
That's
Like,
so
He
She
couldn't
knows
see
me.
you back though.
But yes, that's
yeah,
who sings
yeah,
that song.
yeah.
But competition
Love.
and comparison.
Yeah.
We digress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it a lot, I don't feel like,
no,
as girls,
Yeah, for sure.
where we just can have a tendency to compare ourselves to one another.
Yeah.
Which then you never win when you compare yourself
Right.
to
No.
anyone else. But it
No.
also can cause you to spiral. It can cause you to think awful thoughts about yourself.
Yep.
And I just kind of want to unpack it in a couple ways.
Yeah.
One, I
Love
just
that.
want us to share a time or two where comparison didn't do us good.
Yeah.
And then hacks, things that we do to help us not compare.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's
obviously we all have eyes, we all notice things.
Yeah.
So it's like you'd have to be like Stevie to not want to compare yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
true. Yeah, you'd
it's
have to be
true.
blind.
So we're
yeah,
human. We're
Yeah,
human.
for sure.
But I just want to talk through like what that's like, times that you've done that where you're like, that did not work for me. I'm not going to do that
Yeah.
again. And then things that you do, things that you put in your mind, like mile markers to help you
Yeah.
stay on the straight and narrow and to like redirect your thoughts.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we live in an Instagram, TikTok world, Pinterest world.
yeah.
We're all on it. It's a part of life. And I'm not mad about it actually. But I think where it can get us in trouble is when we compare ourselves
Yeah,
against other people's
sure.
reels, feeds, swipes,
Yep.
photos, homes, husbands,
Yep, so real.
trips,
Yeah.
makeup,
Yeah,
everything.
all of it.
shoes.
Yep.
What else? Spiritual
Bodies.
lives,
Yeah.
bodies,
Yeah.
bodies.
Yep.
Yes,
Mhm.
all of it.
All of it.
Yep.
So let's just like unpack it a little. We're gonna go there, girls. So
Okay.
go
I
there
think
with
we
us.
should.
Yeah, we
I
should.
feel like mine's fresh
Okay,
tell
fresh.
us.
because I'm 6 months postpartum.
Yeah.
Just turned 6 months postpartum. There has been no greater opportunity to compare myself to other women as
Wow.
whenever I am pregnant, large pregnant,
Yeah.
about to give birth, right after you give birth.
Yes.
It is so heavily, I feel like social media has just set us up as women, specifically, just in general, but also specifically in that season, to fail, because you're seeing these, like, I saw on TikTok the other day, this, I won't say her name, but this beautiful influencer loves to cook, just like absolutely gorgeous, and just had a baby, and she posted a TikTok, and she was like, my little sweet pea is like 7 days old or something crazy like that. Looked like she was just like, could have been in a museum.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I dealt with a lot of comparison after my first, and then I kind of paid the dues. I paid the price, and then I came to the other side of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so beautiful. And I looked through the comments, and it was just like girl after girl after girl being like, this is toxic to put out there. This is not real life. Wow. But the reality is that is her real life.
Yeah,
right.
It's probably exactly how her mom looks and her great grandma and all of that. Yeah. And so I feel like if we don't have the right lens to look through, because right after you have a baby, you're like, you talked about it in the last podcast, you're in a diaper yourself, you're leaking everywhere.
Exactly.
All of our bodies are different. If you're breastfeeding, your body, your hormones take more time to regulate, plummet, all the things. And so the circumstances are just so vast from woman to woman, but the picture is so specific.
Wow.
So because it's like we're automatically setting ourselves up to fail.
Exactly.
So after I had my first daughter, also having daughters puts it all into perspective, because I look at them and I'm like, it's like you look at them and you're like, you're perfect in every way. I wouldn't change a hair on your head, and I see so much of the scripture that talks about how we're made in his image. I see Jesus through my daughters. So how much more am I called to view myself that way? And it's taught me to be so careful with how I speak about myself. But all of that to say, I think that doing the preparation in the secret place of, I know how, God has called me to live. I have the mind of Christ. He will keep those in perfect peace, those whose minds are steadfast on you. If you have that truth that's more saturated than what social media is going to saturate with. Because I think if you're scrolling for more than 10 minutes a day, it's going to be on a loop in your mind. That's how heavily saturated comparison is. So we don't talk about it a lot, but it's still everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And so I would say for me, the opportunity that I was given was being pregnant and then being postpartum now 2 times over. I have learned that the voice in my head has to be louder and more encouraging than the voice that I'm hearing on TikTok, because it's just everywhere. So good. And you can, men can dress like Adam Sandler and they're like, look at him go. It's him on the weekend. Leo's on a yacht and he is in his flip-flops and cargo shorts.
Exactly.
But women, can't have babies without it being like, when are you bouncing back?
Right. No.
So I would say, scripture, having that voice be louder has been my journey.
I love that. I love that.
I feel like mine's fresh too.
Yeah.
Okay, so fun. In a month, it's my 1-year anniversary.
Wow. Congratulations.
Which is
that
so
is
crazy.
Wild.
Which is so crazy that I even get to say that. But I feel like going into my engagement season, I don't know. I wasn't engaged for a long amount of time. And so I'm like, what do you expect? And I feel like all I saw on TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest was like, once you get engaged, it's all these picture perfect moments. Like you and your fiance, you're like dancing literally in lily fields.
Right.
Like, you see those like photo shoots, they're in the grass and the sun's behind them. And they're like future co-dog is running in the back, wagging their tail, never pee in the house. Like that kind of vibe. Families are eating together. They're like laughing, holding hands. They're like, kumbaya. And you're like, wow, what a peaceful moment. And all you see is like girls in all their white outfits. And you're like, wow, they're living their best life.
Bachelorette and
Bachelorette. Literally, I'm like
their matching robes.
Literally the embroidered sashes. I'm like, all of it is everybody is Pat McGrath matching foundations. That's all I feel like I saw.
So real.
And I didn't realize, I actually didn't have that expectation going into it. So I didn't think like, oh, this is what is it gonna be like. But subconsciously, it actually got in my spirit.
Wow.
And I remember our engagement season being such a spiritual battlefield. It was such a spirit, because like, one, you get engaged and now you're like, we're not married, but we're committed to each other. And now like you're preparing to be together forever and you're becoming one under the Lord. And it's just new territory you've never navigated. And it switches literally overnight. Like literally overnight. I had the best engagement ever. P.O. and all the girls got together to like throw it. It was so crazy looking back at it, like how beautiful it was. Yes. I wouldn't change a thing. And then in the engagement season, it was like overnight, it was all this spiritual warfare. Like I felt like Marcus and I were speaking different languages. And I was like, even though we weren't, I was like, hello? Like things we were agreeing on, we weren't agreeing on. I felt like I had just tension in family and friendship. And I was like, what is this? And it threw me off. It made me so sad because I was like, what's wrong with me that I don't have this like picture perfect, fairy light, all white engagement season? Down to the point where I remember asking Pio, I'm like, should we not be getting married?
I remember that.
Like it literally made me question whether or not like this marriage was for me because all of the warfare that was going on and what I had seen other people have. And I just, nobody's like on TikTok being like, good morning, girls. Guess what? Me and my fiance today didn't see eye to eye on X, Y, and Z. Or, you know,
my fiance lost her job or had a loss or whatever.
Literally, like he just lost a person. I just lost a person. And you're like, hello? Nobody talks about, you're like any of that. Or even like, how do you be friends with you've been single for so long. How do you navigate your sisters in your life now that like you have a husband in your life? So Friday nights used to be with your girlfriends and now Friday nights are with your husband or your fiance. And I feel like the thing in that season was being obviously like rooted in the Lord, but the thing that I feel like helped take me out of comparison was bringing things to leadership. Like I don't know how many conversations we had via text, via FaceTime.
I'm smiling because one time we had a heart to heart and she was eating grapes because she was like she's like, it'd be hard. She's you've been in your clean girl era for a minute. So like she was pounding grapes.
Yes, they were eating like you know, a container, plastic container, and I was like, so I'm
you inspire me.
I was pounding grapes unhealthily, and so I'm like talking with a mouthful. I was having a meltdown via grapes. Via grapes. I was having this. You know, we all have our thing.
Yes, exactly.
Mine happened to be pounding grapes.
We all cope. We all cope. Some cookies.
Yeah, some cookies, some grapes, you know, all the different things. And had I not brought it to the Lord, and I had not brought it to my pastors and my leadership, I actually think I could have convinced myself out of marrying my best friend. Because I'm like, this is not what it's supposed to be. And then when I brought it, you're like, it was so funny because it took me a second. You're like, this is normal. And I'm like, huh? Like I almost wanted you to say it wasn't. You know, and you're like, oh yeah. You're like, everybody navigate. And not to like, you weren't dumbing down my experience. But you were actually like reaffirming that you're like, actually, you having warfare means you're on the right track. Like the enemy doesn't want, he hates marriage. He hates this. And like seasons of shift take work. And I'm so grateful that I didn't let TikTok tell me what my marriage and engagement season was supposed to be. That I didn't let Pinterest dictate like my feelings or Instagram. Because I'm like, it might have been your experience that it was rainbows and butterflies. And I'm so happy for you, sister. I'm like, pop off, girl. You know, but there's also the real life things that there's loss and there's shift and there's learning and there's growing, there's becoming one. And so I feel like the thing that got me out of comparison was bringing it to women who've gone before me and was just like, can you tell me how to get through this? And can you tell me how you got through it? And if this is normal? And so I'm just grateful. And so like my advice or wisdom to anybody is to not keep it to yourself.
That's gold.
Literally bring it to the Lord, surrender it to the Lord. But then you have to bring it in with other people, because if not, you're like, you know, in a sane asylum, people go crazy because they're left alone. And so actually, like when you're in prison, they put you like in that white room. And the reason that white room is so dangerous, people lose their minds in there, is because the only thing they hear is the thoughts in their head. They have no outside perspective or voices. And so whenever you get into comparison, it could be like going into a white room, a padded room, and you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be, and this is what it's supposed to be. And you kind of go crazy. But like wisdom says, even the Lord says, to like bring things under submission. And it actually like, it took me out of it. And so I'm like, one, thank you for like pulling me out of that and not letting like the world dictate what that season's supposed to be, because then I could celebrate it instead of criticize it. But because I let comparison get to me, I was in like my critical season, but then I was able to actually like get in my celebration season for sure.
and we celebrated.
Yes, we did. We partied hard.
We did.
It was so fun. It was actually great.
Beautiful.
I wouldn't change anything, but it was perspective that helped change it.
Right.
Change it for me,
good.
for
Girls,
sure.
thank you for like being real, and not just like one day my coffee maker broke and I prepared myself. You know
I saw a girl with a coffee that day.
Exactly.
No, diapers and colostrum.
Yeah.
For days.
So real.
For days.
Night sweats.
Yeah, I was just thinking back about when we first moved here, and you took me immediately under your wing, and you just started like cheering me on, and just I could cry thinking about it, just like a girl's girl, and like giving me clothes to wear and helping me with my hair, and just being just the friend that I've never had. And I think it was like right when social media started picking up and like going off, and you really taught me how to like really love myself, which I felt like Mia was 3 years old when we moved here, but it just felt so pivotal for her life of like how you were just very careful about how the things that we let into our life, and so it helped me to be very careful about the things that I would let into her life. But I do remember a time when we were on vacation once with a couple, and it was actually Pastor Andrew and Hannah, and you know, he's so doting and so kind and so loving and all these things and serving, and he was like doing all this for Hannah on there. And I remember going back to our hotel room, and I'm like, Ben, why aren't you like Andrew? I was like, why aren't you like Andrew? Like, he's like bringing her coffee, and he's like kissing her and hugging her and all this stuff. And I just felt like, you know, you don't do any of that, you know. And I just remember watching them think, and you know, just felt really bad. Just like, why would I say this to my husband? But I really wanted him to be the one that posts about me and like does all these things that I feel like you don't celebrate me like he does. But I just remember the Lord saying like, you married him the way that he was, and you love him the way that he was, and so celebrate him the way that he is. And so I just will never forget at that moment, Ben was like, Casey, I'll never be him. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, we can see all these things that are happening on the outside, but we really don't know what battles they face on the inside, right? But I do think that even just being around your friends and watching and wanting what they have can be so hard to fall into that trap. But I think on the other side of comparison too is our daughters, you know, just like I said before, it's like my daughter Mia, when she goes to school and she's like, those girls don't want to sit with me, and I didn't do great on this test, and you know, having to constantly remind her like, you are not them, you are set apart, you are called by God, because when I speak those things to her, I'm actually really speaking them also to myself.
So good.
And so I think that like you were saying about reading scripture over yourself, if you're constantly thinking about others and what they have and what they're going after for, and that's the most diet that you're putting in, then of course that's all you're gonna think about, you know. And of course it's gonna tear you down. But I think if you're covering yourself and washing yourself with a word, then that's gonna be the voice that you hear the most. And so I think that it is just so easy to fall into it. But when you know who God says that you are, and maybe you don't, maybe you're like, I really don't know who God says that I am. My advice to you would be like to get in your word and to like be transformed by the renewing of your mind of who you are, and to surrender. I think that surrender, that we fight for surrender, for so long I thought it was about we fight to lay down the things we don't want to be and the things we don't want to do. But I was listening to a podcast Pastor Earl did a long time ago, and he was saying fighting for surrender is actually surrendering to be more like Jesus. And so I think that and I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect at this, because surely I'll look at these girls and be like, I wish I had a body like that, and I wish I had hair like that, and I wish that my skin, you know, wasn't sagging at 43 years old. You know,
you look so good.
Phenomenal. And so I was telling you that I was like, oh, anyway, but all those things. But I have to remember who I am. You know, like you know that there's so many other girls watching us. I think that's the biggest thing of like knowing who we are, because there is a generation behind us that is watching, and so I feel like I contributed to you, just taking it back to what I said at the beginning of clinging to you, my leader, who taught me like to cheer each other on and not to compare. And I feel like you're so good at that, of teaching us all girls to cheer each other on, because there is a generation behind us
that is watching us.
So good,
and it's wild, so powerful, everything that you guys have said. And it is wild to think, you know, like your future daughter, our daughters, they need all of us to get it, you know, because if we're a hot mess and we're like looking in the mirror and going, I'm ugly, what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that, then they overhear that, and then it impacts how they see themselves. It really does. And so it's such a ripple effect. And seeing Mia now, how old is she? 16, 15?
She's 17.
17. And I met her when she was 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
And seeing the confidence that she has. And I love that she kind of like doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like in a good way.
Yeah, in a
like,
good way.
she's like really kind of has this effortlessness about her where she doesn't like try to impress. Like she's stunning, but she doesn't like, you can tell she doesn't spend hours like,
she's secure.
She's
secure.
secure.
She knows who she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's our calling, is to raise up a generation of girls behind us that are secure. But it is wild. Like, it's also wild, like, getting older, you know, because I was on a photo shoot recently. I wasn't in it. I was like a part of it. With like, we're working on the Cultivate promo, because Cultivate is a women's conference that we do. Shout out Cultivate Conference.
My favorite thing.
Save the date. We're running out of tickets.
We only have a few tickets left.
Only a few. So sign up. You do not want to miss it. But we were coordinating this shoot, and all the girls were amazing. I remember turning to Lindsay, and I was like, one of them was like, because we always hype each other up. Like, that's what we do. We're like girls. And we always speak life over one another. Sincerely. Like, sincerely, we can't help it. Like, it's just like what we do. And I looked up at one of them, Annette. So Annette is like an amazing girl on our serve team. Stunning. Stunning inside and out. And probably like 23. I don't know. And I was like, wow. Wow. Youth is amazing.
It is.
No, literally.
You know, so I just like kind of had like a must be nice moment. But then I like snapped back into reality.
It's so real.
So it's just like normal.
It's so normal. We were sitting with Lexi the other day. She's on our staff team. She's everything.
She's 20.
But she's 20. And I was just staring at her POs in the room, and I was like, you have such plump skin.
It's like,
it's like bouncy.
The collagen upon collagen
it's so nice
that she doesn't have to put in her smoothie. It's
Look
just there naturally.
And then I was like, you know, in humility, I'm like, I can learn something from her. I was like, so what do you do for your skin? And she goes, oh, nothing. I was like,
I was like,
no facial,
no injection.
And she's like, nothing. And I was like, okay, well, that does make me feel better. So I brought that to the Lord later. But you were saying.
Over the summer, I think we were at North Park. We like saw this young girl, and she was in front of me in line waiting for a coffee, and she like said something, and it was like a little snobby and sassy. And later I was telling Jansen about it. I was like, I could have been her big sister. Jansen had seen her, and I was like, I could have been her big sister. She was only like 15. And Jansen was like, I love you. You probably wouldn't be her big sister. You could for sure be her mom. And I was like, what universe?
All right.
What universe? I feel like it's very sobering.
No,
it's very sobering to see this new generation, but also just the pressure that they're under. Which, like, thank you both for going before me, because mine are 4 and 6 months, but I can't even imagine in 10 years, you know, when they're teenagers, what that will look like. So also just watching the way that you're a mom to Elle. I mean, it's why I named you after my daughter, or I named my daughter after you, because I've just never met someone as secure as you. Everybody talks about how much you encourage women, but I don't know if we're asking you questions, but I do want, to interview on this, because I feel like you would be a gold medalist in cheering other women on in every single stage of life. Like, I have seen you in front of influencers, and you edify and encourage them to the same degree that you are in front of any person who comes up to you on a Sunday. And so how did you get from a place where I'm sure, you know, you can understand how hard it is being a girl in our world, but to where you are now? Because I feel like you're a machine gun of like encouragement and security. How did you get to this place? Like, what war did you have to fight in order to get to this place now?
I can't help it. Like, I truly cannot help it. I think I genuinely just love girls. Like, I just love God's daughters. And I asked him a long time ago, give me eyes to see girls the way that you see girls.
Beautiful.
And so it kind of comes out like a machine gun, where I literally cannot help it. From a stranger to someone who's like a ride or die in my life, it like overcomes me, and I can't even it's like just like flows. It does flows out of you. It flows out like a river. But I didn't have like a day where I'm wired that way. But I grew up in a home. My mom, she was amazing, amazing growing up. Like, she was a single mom. Shout out single moms.
Shout out single moms.
And
Can't imagine.
she like worked really hard. She was super successful and provided like an amazing life for me. It's a different season now, but that's another podcast that we can talk about moms.
We'll dig in.
We'll talk about moms on another podcast, which would be a really good topic actually.
It actually really
because
would.
some people have like the perfect, like amazing moms. Like your mom is goals, Olivia.
Yes.
Like we all want to be like Olivia's mom when she grow up.
Tracy's everything.
She's all of our moms.
Yeah,
she's all of our moms. She's who we all want to be actually. But sometimes moms' journeys take a little turn. They go down a different road. But that's another story for another day. We'll come back to that. But growing up, my mom was in her bag. And the thing that she deposited in me was very much like, I'm going to give you the shirt off of my back. And there was never a ceiling on me. Like, even if I got a C, she was like, you're amazing.
That's awesome.
You're brilliant. She was like, don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes those kids that are like too serious about their grades, she was like, they're unhappy. She was like,
it's true.
It's true. So
that's
she just was
everything.
like my biggest hype woman. And so I grew up in a home of encouragement. So it was a culture of encouragement. But then I also feel like you don't have to grow up in a home of encouragement to be encouraging. I feel like our church is very life-giving and encouraging. And like if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, like walk into these doors. We'll find you. We will find you.
We will.
And it is from like a sincere place.
It is.
Because if we were all shopping together and we ran into you at the mall and we started talking, we would highlight something about you because there's so much negativity in our world. And so I feel like I want to be on the other side of it. And even if someone's mean to me, like if I'm someplace and I go someplace and the person is not kind, I'm like, how can I win them over? What can I do
I'm going to shower
make
you
them
with
smile? To like make you smile. But I feel like number one, I was wired that way. Number two, I grew up in a home that was very encouraging and life-giving. My mom was she always stated what we had, not what we didn't have. And so she was successful, made great money. So I went to a private school. She like worked her butt off to give me like a really great foundation. And even though my dad was not present, she never was like, where's your dad at? I'm doing this all by myself. I think if she had that kind of stank about her, I probably would have more stank on me. Like, where's he at? Is he a loser? You know, like I would probably have this like negative edge about me. But she was like, I got this, you know, and she just like kept going. She just went, if you're not watching this on video, I'm moving my hand up like an arrow. But she just shot up, was super successful and was like, you will never not be able to do something, even though it's just me. So she just like provided this home of encouragement, which I think, you know, impacted me, obviously.
Of course.
But I love like speaking life. And I think too, a secret about helping yourself not compare yourself to other girls or get locked in like, because I think girls sometimes like won't leave their house if they feel like they don't have the right outfit. Like I think comparison can like trap you in a prison, in solitary confinement where you're like, I can't go, I don't know what I'm going to wear.
For sure.
But I think when you look for ways to encourage other people, you kind of like you don't have time to like think about what you don't have.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like you notice things. Like I talked about in our pilot episode, like, oh, I love your shoes. I need something like that. Or like seeing your shoes makes me realize I want to upgrade my shoes, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it's when you beat yourself up of like, I can't go to that event because my loafers are 5 years old.
That's so
like, where are those 5-year-old loafers?
Real love of 5-year-old loafers.
I feel like it also does speak to your friendships too, because I think we're going to compare ourselves no matter what. It's just it's the way it's all around us. But I do also think, because you made me think of, I have some really encouraging friends, and I feel like it's very rare now that I think about it. There's like 7 or 8 of us that are really close, like talk every single day, have girls' nights all the time. And they are the most encouraging girls. Yeah, they're all a part of the church. The most encouraging girls. And so I feel like, you know, it is the scripture, it is renewing your mind, it is, you know, taking it to leadership. But I do think also you have to be around girls that want to create that sort of environment. Because I do think, I can't imagine like in college and in sororities how hard it might be now. But I do feel like there might be a point in time where you have to go, okay, the girls around me, the people that I'm surrounding myself with aren't necessarily setting me up to win. If you're having to like lace up your boots every time you go to a girls' night because, you know, they're going to be picking each other apart. Like it might be time, go to Orchid, go to Cultivate, switch things up. Because I do feel like that does play a part in it, is girls so that like you make it so easy for me to feel good about myself, you know? And so I just can't imagine not having that.
And I think too, I wonder if we had as girls.
Yeah.
Like we do, thank God, by the grace of God. But other girls, if you had the right girls around you, I wonder if there'd be like less suicides, less eating disorders, less even probably like depression. Sometimes you can't help it because of your chemical wiring.
Yeah, of course.
But like I do think some of it could be prevented emotionally
I agree.
if you had the right voices around you speaking life and not tearing you down. But I love what you said about like the sorority, like college life, where if everyone in your circle is like starving themselves, sleeping around nonstop, getting drunk all the time, and you feel like you have to keep up with that lifestyle.
It'd be exhausting.
It'd be exhausting. Yes.
As a mom, what practical things do you do to make sure that you're teaching your daughter that you know not to compare?
Exactly. Yes, it's so normal because like even Elle, I remember she's in 4th grade now, but when she was in 2nd grade, there was a friend group that she thought she was going to be a part of, but then these 2 best friend girls, they would have like dress up day where they'd both wear pink. And when you're young and you want to like know what you want to know what was on the menu, you know, and so she at first thought she was going to be in this friend group, but then they would keep having like private dress up days, and then she would come not in the pink bow and the pink outfit, and then it would hurt her feelings. And so we've had to have lots of heart-to-hearts from a very young age of reminding her like, if you were supposed to be best friends with them, like you would have been best friends with them, but anyone who's going to exclude you is not someone that you want to be best friends with anyways. And we would say, and we still say, like, God is going to provide the right friends for you. And he actually has. We ended up switching schools because that school journey was a hot mess of stress. Yes, poured out. And now she has the sweetest friends, and they do not exclude her, but she was able to see at a young age that if someone's going to exclude you, and I feel like that goes for any age, if you have to force yourself in a friend group, that's not the friend group for you, and that God has other life-giving friends. And so we always ask her, are they kind? Do they do good in school? Do they love God? Do they honor their parents? Like we always say, do they make good choices? That's what we say to Elle, to surround herself with people that make good choices. Because with our boys, what we didn't do is, I talk about this all the time, they're amazing, they love hard, they love big,
they do,
but we didn't teach them discernment in the middle school ages and even for high school. So they invited some people into their life that probably shouldn't have had a front row seat. They should have been a part of their lives because we love everyone.
Of course.
But because we didn't teach them, like, this probably is not going to be a good influence on me. They were like, oh, sit right by me really close. Because they're like, we love hard. But I think another life lesson of teaching your kids is how to discern, even at a young age. Like, do you feel good when you're around this person? Do they make your tummy hurt? You know, because they can be 3 and like go, my tummy hurts when I'm around so-and-so, which is like a little indicator for them even at 3 that like, this is not good for me.
That's great. And I think once you learn that, I think something that I have to remind myself of is like we all have our people but just making sure that when you get your people you don't stop there, that you keep making room for more people. Because right now your number wasn't always 7.
No, it was like 2.
It was 2 and then it was 5 and now it's 7. It could be 9 you know. And so I feel like just remembering, I feel like what I've learned at this church is like just through the Lord spiritually, the table keeps getting bigger. Like you're never out of seats. Like there's never out of seats. I remember Pastor Erwin telling me, he's like, walk into things like, I didn't send the invitation, but Jesus sent it. And I feel like that's how our friendship should be. Is like always sending an invitation and always knowing that like Jesus invited me into this, and so who am I to stop inviting others in? And so I just am always trying to pray, like to not be comfortable just in my friend group, to be grateful for it, to steward it well. But I'm like, there's still other girls who don't have this. And to not get casual or familiar. Because our lives are so beautiful that it's like, it feels normal. But then you like go to Walmart for 7 seconds and you're like, this isn't normal. You know, you go to a family reunion, you go back to college, you go to high school orientation. It's not
this
normal.
Is super rare what we have.
It's so
very rare.
And so I'm like, you know, the phrase like 4 and no more, like I believe like our house doesn't do that. And so any girl who like is walking in there's like, oh, well, they already have their friend group. It's like, I want to speak against that lie. That's not this one, the Spirit of God and the spirit of this house, nor the spirit that you have. And I know there's Clarissa who's like like
I was
phenomenal.
thinking about her too.
Yes, she's amazing. She's part of our church family, a leader of leaders here, her and her husband. And I remember her coming to church, and she didn't have friends at first because they had moved from Houston here. And so she just kept making opportunities. And now she has more friends then you could like
exactly. And she's always adding.
She's always adding.
Friends in the best way.
I'm like, hey, we're like texting. She's like one of my best girlfriends. Like text her, like she's like on a walk with so and so. You know, I met her yesterday.
Yes.
And you know, they're going to
open-hearted.
Literally, she's going to a birthday dinner where she could be like, oh, well, these are my OG people, and she's like, nope, these are all my people. And so just knowing that if you're part of Shoreline City or part of any global church, that's the posture that you should have.
Exactly.
Is that there's always more room and to never get comfortable. It's like, I found my people, so I'm good. It's like, well, remember when you weren't good? You know, weren't you grateful that you made room or that somebody made room for you? And so to keep making room, too.
No, I think that's so important because I do think as girls get cozy. And you're like, I'm good.
For sure.
And then you have to keep that. Listen, I think God adds the best people when you are like, not tight-handed with those that you love.
That's how I met one of my best friends, Lindsay. Is I was so I did not even want to go out to dinner, but my husband's so social. He was like, I met this guy at church.
The mayor.
And we went out to dinner, which like that just speaks to, like you said, just being bold and being like, okay, you never know. And we went out to dinner, and now she's my kid's godmom. So you just really don't know
for sure
until you say yes. But I do feel like this is the perfect environment to be surrounded by people who are going to help protect your mind from the doom scroll.
And something I learned really big this year was intentionality. Of like, I just felt like God really taught me about being very intentional with people, and I think it just, you know, you can easily sit back and be a homebody and scroll and just be like, why isn't anybody calling me? Why isn't anybody texting me? But are you actually out there texting people? Are you actually out there encouraging people? If like you're sad about what's going on in your life, something that you've taught me is to like get your eyes off yourself and like go after the others, because then you start forgetting all the things that you're worried about. And I think that goes with comparison too.
It's so right.
Right?
So
when you go after to encourage someone else, when you go after to invite someone else, when you go after to take them a birthday present, you're not so worried about what's going on in your own life.
So true.
Because I think that I was just, I don't know what mindset my mind was in, just being real, but I had this revelation of like, oh, these are the things that I want, so why am I not doing them?
Wow.
And so anyway, so that's been something that God's been teaching me, but I feel like in comparison, I could have sat back and wallowed in that of like, oh, I didn't get this invite, or I didn't get to go to that, and I'm like, well, am I doing any of that for anybody else?
Wow, that's good.
That's
so
anyway,
good. Great.
Also teaching my daughter that, I was like, hey, Mia, if you want this for you, you've got to do it for them. And teaching my son that, like, if you want this group of friends, you've got to be the one that goes after them. If you want to have this type of relationships, you've got to pour into it.
It's great case.
That's so good. So needed. How do you guys, want to ask you guys this question, because you guys are all bosses, leaders, influencers on this church, and just people watch you, I feel like, around the world. How do you guys not compare yourselves with one another? Because you're all looked to in different ways on this campus by staff, by the people in the church. How do you fight to not, how do you celebrate one another and not be like, why didn't I think of that? Or why did da-da-da-da? How do you guys like deal with it?
I feel like it's just knowing where our worth is. Knowing what race we're running. And knowing that, like, it goes back to that scripture talking about how we're all different parts of the body. That like
beautiful.
I have to honor Crystal, because there's just like no one. There's nothing quite like your brain. If I could live in there for a day, I think I would want to get out.
I've never known peace a day in my life.
Because the tabs open, like, you know that meme that's like there are a million tabs open, and like I don't know where the music's coming from. That's where I feel like, because what you can do, the way that you can multitask, I can't wait to see you as a mom, because I feel like it's the way that God is going to use that is just going to be, I feel like, very inspiring for all of us moms. But watching you use the gifts that God has given you to build the kingdom is in a way that if I ever tried to do that in the way that you do it, I wouldn't affect anyone for the kingdom, because I would spend all of my time trying to do it that way, whereas God gave me different gifts to build God's house. Watching you, the way that you ghost whisper our pastors, the way that you lead a literal campus as well as the entire next generation. Like watching you walk through the halls of Petite Lumiere, all of the kids are looking at you like, oh, our queen is here.
Yes,
so inspiring.
So protective.
The way that you've built this house from the ground up,
literally,
you know, so many people will never see the dirt on your knees or like underneath your fingernails, but it's there, and God knows that it's there. And so I think just knowing that any day that I spend trying to do something the way that someone else does it or to the degree that they do it or approach it in the way that they approach it is a day that I miss out on impact that God has asked me to have. And that's like lives on the other side of that. Yeah. Like whenever you think of that, that's like, you know, that's sacred, that's calling, that's treasure in heaven. That's like, you know, whether that's obedience, really. It's really disobedience when you're trying to do, you know, what the people around you are doing.
Wow.
And so I feel like I've had a lot of peace in just knowing that I have a place here, but that I'm really not operating to the best of my ability, and I'm not being who God called me to be whenever I'm trying to be like someone else. And that's like, I have to account to God for that at the end, you know, at the end of it, like that's, you know, for me to discuss with Jesus one day. And so every day I'm just like, God, okay, take what's in my hands. Use me how you've called to use me. Let me be me, you know, like let me fully be me, but submitted under the purest vision I've ever been a part of. And so I would say that is what I try to fixate on. But
that's great.
That's gold.
Liv stole what I was gonna do, but I celebrate that.
I love that.
I'm like, I won't compare. So I'll make it quick.
No, say it how you would say it.
Say it how you would say it.
Yeah.
But I think a few things is I thought of the same verse about the body, and one, you're so kind to say what you said. It makes me even emotional that I'm like in this room though, you know, and that like life was just spoken over me on a random day that we're like recording, and so I'm like one. I think not getting, like I said, casual, but the verse about we're all the body, you know, the hand can't get mad at the foot. But I was thinking about too is I actually need you to be me, not to be me, but in order to be all that God has called me to be, I need you to be you. And so like a hand can only operate if it has an elbow, like
the brain tells it to.
Like the brain has to tell it to. Like lips only work if there's like a tongue on the inside. Like I know that sounds weird, like but a foot in order to move it needs a knee, like it needs these other parts in order to accomplish its purpose. And so like could we both be, all of us, like bosses in the same way? Sure. But then we'd all have a bunch of left hands, you know? But I'm like, I actually need actually both of you have this, but I need your level of loyalty to the Lord, to your spouses, to this house, to our pastors, to your friends, in order for me to have longevity in what God has called me to be. I need the way that you see things so beautifully and like creatively. Something about me is like, we need this, and I'm like, here's the 17 things that we need to do, and here we're gonna do it. You know, and
I'm like, should it be purple?
Yeah, and I get so get so function that I might miss actually the beauty and the splendor and the majesty of God in it, because I might rely on my own strength sometimes. And then Casey, actually something Casey's taught me is Casey does sometimes, you know, as I've been growing in my leadership, I can sometimes want to withhold saying something. I'm much better now because I don't want somebody to think something of me. I don't want you to think I'm like better than you. And Casey has taught me that real love looks like having the hard conversations and not worrying what somebody thinks, but actually worrying about what the Lord has asked you to do. And so your creativity and your obedience, I'm like, had it not been for those ingredients, I actually wouldn't be the whole meal that God has called me to be. And so a way that I combat that, you know, especially at first when I didn't know my daughtership and I was insecurity used to walk in the room before I did because I was so insecure, and that's where my comparison came from. It was just like, I didn't know who I was, like you said. Is I actually now, if I ever find myself comparing, I actually go then celebrate that person for what it is. And so I think of Alexis, who's also on our team, and I've known her, I mean, since she was 19 years old. Now she's like married, has a home, all these different things, and is an amazing leader. Alexis is the life of the party, okay? She's like,
she's a good tiger.
I mean, firecracker. She can bring everybody in. And yes, I have a lot of personality, but I'm like, get me the Lola blanket. I want to be at home, you know?
No real.
And I'm like, I'll take it. Yeah, I'm like, put it in my locker, you know? Because I'm like, I love being home, and I'm like, oh man, you know what I could fall into is like, I wish I was more like Alexis, who like threw parties and things like that. And now instead I'm like, Alexis, I love the way that you like rally people. And so instead of comparing something that I don't have, I really fight to celebrate what somebody does have. And it reminds me that I need their ingredient to be literally the thing that God has created me to be. Because like, what's a foot without the rest of the body? You know, what's a heart without blood? You know, and so I would say, that's kind of how I battled it. And I'm like, I just need you in order to be all that God has called me to be. Good. And if I didn't have you, I would actually have a lesser life.
Wow. Good. That's y'all are amazing.
I know. I know.
Thank you both. I mean, I could honor you all. Like eloquence, you know, you're amazing. There's nothing you can't do. Yeah. You're just queen mom. But I
can't even start the list of you.
Table setter.
I remember actually, you know, when we first started, you said to me, I am called to open the door so that every girl can stand on my shoulders and go forward in her calling. And I'll never forget that, because I used to run what we called Shine, back then was Cultivate. And in 2020, and Crystal, you were under me, you were on my team. And in 2020, I got COVID and I couldn't go and lead at Cultivate, and it was online. And so Crystal stepped in. And at that moment, she was so good at it. Like, she crushed. Everybody was blown away at how Crystal was leading, and I had led it for the last couple of years. And then Crystal took over, and I remember, I'll never forget the moment that my mind was like, oh, she's better than you. Or are you going to cheer her on and let her stand on your shoulders? In that moment. And I remember thinking, thank God you taught me to have her stand on my shoulders, because we opened the door for her to lead. And now she is our global project manager and crushes it. But if I would have tried to block that, like what would it have done to our friendship? What would it have done to my leadership? It, I think, would have just totally taken me out. But I remember in that moment the enemy trying to tempt me, and I was like, no, this is what we're called for. We're called to cheer each other on. We're not called to compare. And if I would have done that, I wouldn't be over Petite Lumiere. I wouldn't be over all the things that God's trusted me with. And so all of that to say, I feel like you have taught me from the very, I didn't know anything about anything. Wasn't raised in church, but you taught me, like, we are here to open the door for every single person so that they can run after the call that God has have for them. And so everyone on my team, I'm like, I want to usher you through. I want to usher you through, because you're going to do way more than I can ever do. And so that's like literally my dream for all of us. Like, even for, you know, for Liv, I mean, you're just crushing it and leading the creative team along with our pastor. And I just feel like that's someone else that's standing on your shoulders. You know, and so all of that to say, that's where I learned it was from you. But I'll never forget those moments when you get to choose, like, how are you going to respond? Are you going to respond in comparison, or are you going to respond in cheering them on? And I pray that every single one of us will cheer in cheering them on, because I think the latter will take you out.
Wow. Yeah. Can I just say thank you for doing that for me? Because I didn't know that. You never made me feel that. And I mean, what is it, 5, almost 6 years later? And I feel like I'll do anything in this house, anything, any role. But I feel like what I'm in, I feel like God has called me. And I feel like, I can't believe that it's my job. I can't believe that I get to run in that way. And so I just want to say thank you for not letting comparison get to you and being my number one cheerleader, because I remember you being like, I'm so proud of you. I want you to stand on my shoulders. And I felt like you never, you know, like cheerleading, you know, pyramid. You weren't like trying to make me fall. You were actually like trying to literally carry me on your shoulders. And had you not, I'm about to cry.
Me too.
I got fake lashes on. I'm over here.
What do you say to me when I'm about to break down?
Careful.
I'm like, there should be a warning on this podcast right now. I could have missed what God had on my life, and I could have missed the leadership and, man, all the opportunities. I've grown so much, and it's because of what I've gotten to do here and build God's kingdom. And so I'm like, man, what would it have been like had you chosen the path of comparison versus celebration? And so I just want to say thank you for that, because it changed my life. It genuinely changed my life. And so thank you for laying that down so that I could pick up my calling. But then you're like, you didn't stay there. God had so much in store for you and still does. And so I just want to say, I would be remiss to not say thank you and how grateful I am for that. And I'm like, I don't have words for it, actually. So good. I don't have words for it. So. Okay. Anyways. Okay.
This was a beautiful sandwich.
Yeah.
Trying to hold
We're all like holding hands.
No, literally like, kumbaya, my Lord. Wow.
I'm sweating.
Wow.
Yeah, me too.
This is holy. So holy.
Yeah.
And thank y'all for being so vulnerable, so transparent, so tender, so honest. And I was, even as y'all were talking too, I was thinking about our worship team, and I was thinking about like Rachel, who's been a part of the church, you know, from day one, and how she poured her life into Amanda, and then now Amanda's pouring into Janelle. That's just one of many examples, but those three. And then I was at our Frisco campus for Orchid this past week, and then I saw Yvette leading, who Yvette is our Frisco worship leader, but she was leading next to Rachel, and Yvette just had a baby like maybe a month ago, and I remember Rachel leading after she had Lillian, and like she was literally breastfeeding on the front row, which bless, and I was like, Rachel, it's time for worship. So she finishes feeding Lillian, then jumps up on stage, starts leading worship, and then to see her, then Yvette following her footsteps, doing the same thing, and just that whole standing on the shoulders of each other and strengthening each other and cheering each other on and speaking life, like it propels each other into our destinies, literally. And so if we can be women that like speak life over each other, remind each other of our purpose, of our calling, of the gifts that God has placed on the inside of us in all seasons. So good. I mean, what can't God because do? I've heard, like, I've worked in news, so I used to be in news. I used to be a news producer. But I haven't worked in like a corporate setting, but I've heard sometimes in corporate settings that sometimes it's not normal for women to fight for each other. It's not, and that sometimes you can like not let someone go forward because you want to hold on to it. But like, I think what the common denominator of what we're talking about is like when you give it away, then God puts something else in your hands. And so you don't have to hold on to it because it's like, I think of the children of Israel, and they were supposed to, like, that manna was good for one day, and then it got maggots when they held on to it. So I wonder if the girls that are listening to us, like, I feel like God is encouring us all to think about, what do I need to hand off? Because I don't want to hold on to an old season or an old title that I found my identity in, because then like you end up holding maggots, which is crazy. Maggots are gross, disgusting. So gross. That's so gross.
Thank you for pioneering this.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for going first. You know, just thinking we wouldn't have the Girls podcast, but we also wouldn't have Orchid. We wouldn't have Cultivate. You know, we wouldn't have like all of these stories that we're constantly hearing. We tell stories as a staff every Monday, which is like my favorite. It is. We heard a story this morning of a woman who was like a single mom putting her 4 kids into her car. This was in Antigua or Guatemala City? Oh, San Antonio. And putting her 4 kids in the car, and her car wouldn't start. And a serve team in San Antonio saw her, offered to drive her home, invited her to Orchid. She went to Orchid and gave her life to Jesus. So just thinking like that woman who has her 4 kids, whose car wouldn't start, was on the other side of your obedience. It was on the other side of you guys like making these gifts at La Madeline 13 years ago, you know? And so it just makes me think how many more women in another 13 years are on the other side of us saying, okay, God, I'll just do whatever it is that you want me to do. And us trusting that he wants us to prosper, you know, because I think it's also like, it goes back to that scripture that his plans are to prosper us. And so are we actually trusting, you know, that those are his plans, or do we feel like we have to manage it? And so thank you for going first in true surrender.
Teaching us all.
It's so inspiring.
Made a difference.
It's holy. Just all of this whole conversation is holy.
So good.
I'm mesmerized by all 3 of y'all.
I'm like, I love it.
Hearing the wisdom come out of your mouths, I'm like undone. Like I'm slightly unraveled from. And I try to keep, I'm kind of a together person for the most part. Catch me with something. You are. But I am completely like undone. This conversation was so spirit-led. Thank you all for your authenticity, your tenderness. Thank you for what you represent. I'm so thankful that girls follow you, that girls look up to you. I'm like, follow them, look up to them. So proud of you guys and what you've allowed God to do on the inside of you. And I pray that we are able to destroy some idols, you know, that as girls that we are walking with and carrying. Like, I think about that one woman in the Bible. I forget her name, but she like snuck an idol. I forget her name. Someone will have to look it up, because it's, if you could look it up, Cassia Taylor. But somebody like put up, I don't know if it was Leah, but somebody like snuck an idol that she was
slept with it.
Yes, that she was supposed to,
and they found her.
And they found her. Yes. And so I'm just praying that like we would like destroy these idols, this idol of comparison, because I think comparison really truly is an idol that needs to be demolished in the name of Jesus. And that we would like be women that speak life over one another. And you have those moments, you know, like you have those moments where, you know, you have it. You're human. We're going to a workout class later today, and our teacher, she's like a baddie, and she is like,
she has twins. She has like twins. 4 kids, and 2 of them are twins,
and she literally is like all muscle. So like you could look at her body and go like, man,
she's a Polly Pocket.
I suck.
You know, you're like, what's wrong with me? I haven't even had kids
yet.
Exactly.
You like see all that muscle, and you're like, what? So then you just have to decide before you go to the class. I'm going to see some people that have lots of muscles, and my muscles are growing, and I'm a work in progress, but I'm going to celebrate those muscles.
That's right.
But I think some people would not go to a class, possibly, because they're like, oh, my teacher or that person in front of me has more muscles than I do. And that's not good. Go to the class. Like, you be you, and you like get on that like journey, and like be your biggest encouragement of yourself.
Be inspired.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, last pilot episode, I was like, thank you, body. Thank you, body, that I can even go to a class. Thank you that I can move my body. Or I think it can go the other way. If you're super fit, then you feel bad if you're the fittest person in your friend group. Then you dumb yourself down.
You're like, I ate a pizza for breakfast.
To try to blend in.
To be like relevant, and you're like, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you can go the other way. Well, it's like, you be you. And just be happy with how God made you. And be the best version of you.
And I would say flip the script. Say something positive. Something I read about with our body is that some of your fat stores your hormones, your good hormones. And so if you don't have the fat stores, then you ain't got the good hormones. So I'm like, okay, I got some good hormones.
Something positive. So funny. That is so funny. That is so funny.
I'll take it.
No,
take it.
I'll take anything.
Just like, flip the script, girls. Flip the script.
So good.
But we love you, girls. Thank you for joining us today. This conversation was holy, was weighty, was transformative. We're going to add some scriptures like to scroll after this podcast, because we were talking about scriptures about comparison and confidence before we even started the conversation. So we want to let those scroll on the screen even as we end. But we love you. Thank you for joining us. And continue this conversation with your friends. Speak life over yourself. Like, thank God for the gift of life that he's given you, and ask him to help you see yourself the way that he sees you, and then ask him to help to see the other women in this world the way that he sees them, and watch what chains fall. We love you, and love you, girls. Thank you.
Love you, girls.
Well done.
Love you.
Yay!